What's going on, comic fam? It's your boy, the Bearded Comic Bro, and today I'm going to share with you my top 10 favorite comic books of 2021. That's right, we're going to take a look back at what some of my favorite reads were this past year. Now note, I'm saying favorite. I'm not saying these are the best books of 2021 because there's a lot that I haven't read. There's a handful of books that are on people's best of lists that I just haven't had a chance to read yet, or maybe I just didn't like it. So I'm calling it my favorites because, quite frankly, these are some of my favorite reads of the past year. So let's see. Who has more? Is it DC? Is it Marvel? Is it Independent? Who knows? But with that being said, let's talk comics.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus.
So coming in at number 10 on the list is Scout's Honor from Aftershock Comics. It's written by David Pepose. Art is done by Luca Casalanguida. The colorist on the book is Matt Milla, and the lettering is done by Carlos Menguala. And gang, it is a great book. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where they come out of their shelters that they were hiding after the fallout, and they discover one of the only materials that's left, reading material, is a Boy Scout handbook. And so they have to go through, and so what they do is they're taking this Scout handbook as their Bible. It's kind of this is our way of life. And as things pursue, we get to meet our young protagonist and all that involves Kit and Kit's journey through this 5-issue series. And gang, I'm going to say this a lot in this video. I hope we get to see more of this world because it felt like 5 issues wasn't enough to dig into it. It could be so much more explored in this world that David Pepose has created. And it just is such a cool, fast, engaging story. Nice twists and turns throughout the book. I highly recommend picking up the trade. If you haven't picked up the trade yet already for Scout's Honor, check it out. I think you'll really dig it. So gang, coming in at number 9 is The Nice House on the Lake by DC Black Label. It's written by James Tynion IV. Art is done by Alvaro Martinez. The colorist is Jordi Belair. And the lettering is done by World Designs. Gang, this book came in out of nowhere. People were all about this book and was blowing up. Nice House on the Lake takes a group of strangers, but they're really not strangers. They're casual acquaintances. Some are friends, and putting them in a house that basically they find out that the world is over, and they're kind of stuck in this mansion of a house on the lake, and there's some supernatural aspects that are happening with the friend who brought them all there. And I don't want to dig too much into this story, but I'm excited to see. I didn't love this series at first, but the more I get to revisit it and look at it, I'm learning so much more about the world. And I think this is one of those comic books that you can just dive into multiple different times and pick up something different that you didn't the first read through. And I think that is why it has grown on me and it made it into my top 10 list. So gang, number 9, Nice House on the Lake. So coming in at number 8 on the list is Chariot from AWA Upshot. It's written by Brian Edward Hill. Art is done by Priscilla Peretti. The colorist is Marco Lesko on the book, and lettering this book is World Designs. Gang, this book is so much fun. The art and coloring on this book just make it pop more than you could like. This is where the art and the coloring just highlight so well the writing of the book, the tone of the book. The coloring is beautiful. It gives you this 80s vibe, but it's more modernized 80s. Like, I can't even explain it. So basically the idea of this is we have an ex-con who's trying to make some money for his son who has some major health issues and is doing some jobs. And in the midst of doing one of these jobs, he runs into this car, which gets discovered that basically a agent from, a government experiment, its consciousness is embodied into this car. So obviously when this came out, people were comparing it to Knight Rider and stuff because of the 80s vibe too. But gang, it goes above and beyond that, and holy buckets, you want to check out Chariot. 5 issues if you haven't read it, jam-packed from issue 1 to issue 5. You're gonna dig it for sure. Pick up the trade. I believe it's already been optioned, so People are all about Chariot, and you should be too. So coming in at number 7 on the list is Superman, Son of Kal-El. It's written by Tom Taylor. The art is done by John Timms. It's colored by Hi-Fi, and the letterer is Dave Sharp. Gang, this book shocked me. I didn't pick it up at first. People were telling me you gotta go pick it up, and I should have known better because I'm a huge Tom Taylor fan, but I just wasn't the biggest Superman fan. I will tell you though, what Tom Taylor is doing in just these short 5 issues that I've read so far is making Jonathan Kent one of my favorite characters. The new Superman, the way he does dialogue, the way he brings real life issues into his stories with the superhero stories, it gives a depth to the Superman character that I always felt was lacking in other comics. So I really just dig what they're doing with Jonathan in this book as the new Superman. And Tom Taylor is killing it on this series. I can't wait to see where it goes. I am blown away that his Superman book has made my top 10 list. I never would have thought it would happen, but Tom Taylor made it happen. So gang, if you are sleeping on Superman, Son of Kal-El, why? Go read it. You're gonna dig it for sure. Coming in at number 6 on the list is Nottingham by Mad Cave Studios. This is written by David Hazan. Art is done by Shane Connery Volk. You've got coloring is done by Luca Romano, and the lettering is done by Jametta Gill. And gang, came out of nowhere. Nottingham, it is a tale as old as time, right? You have Robin Hood. Everyone is familiar about Robin Hood, but not this Robin Hood. It's dark, it's gritty, it's flipped the tale of Robin Hood on its face, and it is buck wild. David and Shane are both Mad Cave 2019, I believe. The talent search that Mad Cave does, they were both winners of that. They were paired together for this, and gang, I'm so excited that they've announced we're getting more into the world of Nottingham. These 5 issues, again, were just filled with, I'm talking uber violence, and there are some of the most dope panel layouts I've ever seen of on splash pages that, like, I'm like, Shane, I need these comics. I need these pictures in my comic studio here down here because holy cow, they look so freaking good. So gang, if you have not checked out Nottingham, pick up the trade from Mad Cave Studios, Nottingham. Coming in at number 6. Gang, we made it. We're in the top 5. So let's start off our top 5 with number 5 from Aftershock Comics. We got Project Patron. So gang, it's written by Steve Orlando. Art is done by Patrick Pizzalunga. Coloring is done by Carlos Lopez. And the lettering is done by Thomas Maurer. And gang, this one, I had Steve on my show. I've had a lot of these creators on my show, interviewing them, and that's not why they make the top 10, but that's why I reach out to them and try and talk to them on my show, because I really like what they did, and I wanted to talk to them about it. And so we were talking about Project Patron, and this is such a cool concept of you have the superhero who faded away, who was very popular, and then faded out into existence, and then all of a sudden shows up, and basically it is in this, like, mech suit that is, it's the superhero, but it's being controlled by these pilots that are utilized for different things. So if you want the superhero to utilize the strength, this pilot person is going to pilot the superhero's body. And if you want someone who's smart to solve something, this person, and it just is such a cool concept. And the toll that it takes on these pilots' bodies, how they have to do it, and then there's some just shenanigans that ensue that they have to figure out what happened and what's going on. Gang, I feel like Project Patron was not talked about enough. You gotta check this out. Get the trade from Aftershock. I'm telling you, check out Project Patron. I think you would really dig it. Such a cool concept. I really hope we get to see more. It's left in a way that it could end, but Steve, I need more, so hopefully we get more. So go buy the trade of all these books I'm telling you about, because the more trades you buy, the better chance I get to read more of these stories. So make it happen, gang. Gang, coming in at number 4 on my list, I was going to mention this series because I love it. It's from Image Comics. It's Stray Dogs. This is blowing up everywhere. People are buying all the variants, the movie poster homage variants. But gang, buy the trade to read the story because it's such a good story. It's written by Tony Fleece. Art is done by Trish Forstner. The colorist is Brad Simpson. Tony Fleece also does the lettering on the book. And Tone Rodriguez does the layouts. And gang, this book is awesome. It's like if Memento merged with All Dogs Go to Heaven, like Don Bluth is what it gets compared to all the time. You know, people have said Seven. I like to think Memento. But gang, this is so good. This is the first trade that my wife read all the way through, and she loved it. They're doing more with Dog Day series that just is starting to drop. Because, gang, Stray Dogs is such a unique story that people weren't expecting. But the idea is a serial killer is going around killing people, and his tokens are he's taking their pets, like he's taking their dogs. That's his trophy for all these victims that he's killing. And it's crazy concept. It's unique. It's different because it's all done from the dog's perspective and what they're dealing with and trying to figure out why they're all there. If you're just picking up the covers, go for it. But take some time to find a copy to read because you will really dig this series. Trish and Tony, the whole team, they do such a great job. Go check out Stray Dogs. So coming in at number 3, gang, we're in our top 3. My favorite books of 2021. We got The Recount from Scout Comics. Gang, this is brought to you by Jonathan Hedrick. Art is done by Gabriel Ibarra Nunez. Colorist is Sansil Gagari. And the letterer is Christian Dokolomaski. And gang, holy cow, The Recount is awesome. Issue 1 came out in 2020, so before you guys go, and the Ash Can came out then too, and but because of how Scout does their comic release, issue 1 comes out, and then 3 months later, issues 2, 3, 4, 5 come out. So majority of this series came out in 2021, and gang, if you are not reading this because you're like, I don't want to read a political opinions and things like this, Jonathan even in the interview is like, gang, I'm not smart enough to make one side say this and the other side say this. It just was a really cool concept, and the timing just when it came out with the politics and everything going on. But if you're not reading it for whatever reason, go give it a chance. Pick up the trade. This is a story of a president gets assassinated, and this terrorist organization is going around and trying to infiltrate and take out everyone who voted for the president as well, because they feel they're as guilty as the people, you know, who voted for him, just as what he's doing and all the other people in power. And so brothers are turning on brothers and families and, you know, neighbors on neighbors and, you know, different people in the political government and what they're who's who and who's on what side. It's bonkers. It's buck wild. Man, oh man, go check out The Recount. Again, I'm telling you guys, it's such a fast-paced read. From start to finish, you will be like, yup, nope, I'm good. I'm in. I can't put it down. I couldn't put it down. So, gang, The Recount, number 3. Gang, coming in at number 2, DC. Nightwing. Are you freaking kidding me? Tom Taylor wrote this, took over this run of Nightwing, and it has been so much fun. So you got Tom Taylor back again on the list, bringing in the writing on this book. Bruno Redondo doing the art. You've got Adriano Lucas doing the coloring. And gang, Wes Abbott is the letterer for this series. And obviously, some of these series, with these being ongoing and stuff, sometimes the colorists and the artists change. So if I misrepresent someone here or there, it's probably just because they did an issue or they didn't do the issue. I would looked up to get the references because I wanted to try and get all the creative team as I could on here, because I think it's important to highlight everyone, not just the writer and not just the artist on the book. So I'm trying to bring more of all the creators, the whole creative team, when I'm talking about a book. And Nightwing is a book to be talked about. Nightwing is always, it's a classic character. Everyone knows Nightwing and what Nightwing's been through. And, you know, people weren't a big fan of some of the stuff that happened with Nightwing earlier in on the series. But then when it picks up with this new arc by Tom Taylor, gang, they blow it out of the water. Nightwing goes back to Bloodhaven. and is really taking on the role of protector, but he wants to do something differently. He inherits money from of Alfred's money and that he got from Bruce Wayne, all the stuff that happens in Joker War and things like that. But Nightwing starts to stand alone on his own. He has some things that he wants to do for the city of Bloodhaven that he is a protector of. He wants to help them help themselves. And Nightwing's really cool because now we're starting to see more of Nightwing's characters. Some of maybe his rogues gallery expand a little bit and, solidify. And I really like what they're doing with some of these. I was a little bummed that we took a little detour on the Fear State, but I get why we had to do it because the story that they're telling is so good that they need Nightwing back in Bloodhaven. And so I'm excited that we get Nightwing back in Bloodhaven now moving forward because I want to see where this story progresses and goes because, gang, for an ongoing series to make it into the top 10 list, that means that it is a very well done series, and I highly recommend checking out Nightwing. So, gang, here we are. We're at my number one favorite book of 2021, and it is Not All Robots from AWA Upshot. Writer on the book, Mark Russell. Artist on the book, Mike Deodato Jr. Colorist on the book is Lee Ruffridge, and the letterer on the book is Steve Want. And, gang, Not All Robots. If you watch my show, I'm a big Mark Russell fan. Most everything he does, I'm a huge, huge fan of his writing style, what he brings to the table. And I'm so glad that people are embracing Not All Robots because it is such a good read. Just what Mark does with his storytelling of this idea of robots are slowly taking over the world where humans are not needed as much, and the control that robots have, and this kind of dichotomy between robots and humans. And I really want to have Mark on my show again so we can talk about Not All Robots and just really want to dig deeper into this story. Gang, AWA has been killing it, and Not All Robots, hands down, one of my favorite reads of 2021. If you haven't read if you haven't read any of these books or some of these books, go read them. Find them buy the trades, find them on the digital apps, whatever you got to do, but consume comics. So, gang, again, these are my top 10 favorite reads of 2021. I say favorites because it's not a best of list, because there are ones that might be better than some of these, but I haven't read them or I just didn't enjoy them as other critics would. So this is my favorite. These are my favorites. That's it, gang. So let me know if you agree with some of the books on my list. Did you like some of these? Were there any I listed that you're like, I did not like that? Wow. Were there some that I missed? I would love to know what I missed and need to consume more of. But I just hope you have a great year, 2022, of reading comics this year. I'm looking forward to always just seeing what's pop up as some of my favorite books of the year. Can't wait for this year of comic reading. So with that being said, gang, hopefully you can find some time to curl up, grab a book, and nerd out. Peace.